Watching Morning at NTV.
Election watch with a few months to the 2021 general election. On the 16th of June 2020, the Electoral Commission released a revised roadmap for the 2020-2021 general elections. Now get this. The revisions included a change from the usual open campaigns to the much talked about scientific or virtual campaigns. The revisions were attributed to the threat of COVID-19 pandemic. There you have it. Some sections of the public have outrightly objected to the scientific or virtual campaigns and advocated for a postponement of the same elections as a better option as we grapple with COVID-19. The objections to the scientific campaigns have come up as a result of the realities on the ground that pose real challenges for the implementation of the planned AC roadmap. To discuss the realities on the ground on Morning at NTV, we have Mr. Ssenyonyi, the People Power Movement Pressure Group spokesperson, and Mr. Mulindwa, the NRM party spokesperson, whom are joining me right now in studio. Very good morning and thank you for joining me right here in Morning at NTV.
And good morning to you.
Ssenyonyi, we are hearing a lot about the People Power Movement being a pressure group. I first want you to get it out of the way. Is it a party or pressure group?
And we had this discussion off air.
So let's get it on air and get it out of the way.
It's a pressure group. You said it's a pressure group. It's just English, and it's okay to keep learning English. A pressure group is just a group of people who are trying to persuade government. And the movement is a group of people who share the same beliefs, the same ideas, and the same aims. Which aims we do have? We want to see change of government. We're working hard towards that, and then the transformation of our country. So
it's a movement for change and transformation in our society.
Really, just English.
It's a movement of change and transformation, not just a political party.
It's not a political party. Political parties are those that are registered with the Electoral Commission you are allowed to learn.
No, that's why I had issue, because
so let me teach you.
I was telling you, if you think it's a political party, I have issues.
It's not a political party.
But if you call it a church,
let him first finish his point.
A political party are those that are registered under the Political Parties and Other Organizations Act. You know, theirs, for example, is an organization under that act. I hope he knows.
So at least that is
we are not registered that way, and we have not, at least from the very start, had interest to move that way.
At least that is out of the way. Now, Ssenyonyi, we also understand that last week when the People Power Movement leader Robert Chagulanyi was on Baba FM, he contended that the People Power Movement was going to actually conduct rallies and go against the Ministry of Health guidelines. But then yesterday we also saw a twist from the Electoral Commission and Parliament. There was an announcement that you might be allowed to have a few people at rallies. Do you think they're now conceding to the fact that we cannot do without rallies in this election?
No, they're conceding that really what they began with was an absolute joke. I told you people here that when you read our Constitution, Article 61 provides for a free and fair election, a participatory election, where Ugandans get to participate. That, Romeo, you're interested in my vote for whatever position, I get to interact with you, you sell to me yourself and your ideas, I either buy into them or otherwise. And what we have been saying as the People Power Movement is tethered to what scientists, doctors have been saying. WHO, even locally here, they are saying COVID-19 is here for a very long time. And some have actually intimated that it might become like HIV and AIDS. It will not go away. We just need to learn how to live with it, how to avoid it, and all these different things. That's what the scientists, the experts, are saying. WHO and even our locals here, they're saying this thing is going to be here for a very long time. So let's learn to adapt. Let's learn to live with this thing, find ways around it. And for us, we're saying, let's begin to open up, okay? Now, does that mean we are oblivious of, you know, the COVID-19 itself? Of course not. And we're saying, for example, begin by opening up churches. There can be some spacing, people can wash hands, sanitize, the SOPs can get to be in place. And there's examples. Kenya has done that. Now, I know some people will say Kenya is not Uganda, but the context is very important. Kenya has over 8,000 cases. Uganda has just above 1,000. Kenya has lost nearly 200 people to COVID-19. Uganda has not lost any. Context. So, I mean, they've had a lot more trouble with COVID-19, but they're saying this thing is going to be here for a very long time, just like the scientists are telling us. So let's begin to adapt. Open up as you monitor, as you observe. Let the SOPs be in place, you know. And of course, eventually schools and then political meetings too, that they can happen with SOPs in place. And when we're saying that, we said, look, we are predicting if you insist that none of this should happen, they're actually going to happen, but this time without SOPs. And for me, that's my concern. When you have SOPs in place, then people can get to have the political meetings and activities, but following the guidelines. But if you don't put any guidelines in place and say, we shall not allow any of these meetings, they're actually going to happen. But this time without SOPs, and that's dangerous. And that's what we began to see happening by these very people in government. Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, who, by the way, is a friend of mine. We pray from the same church. But you see, I was appalled when I saw the lady who signed the very regulations going out there and breaking them, because now she's become a quintessential politician. She's vying for a position in Lira. So she went to the field, and it turned out to her that this thing practically does not work. And several others followed suit. Banana Mugwanya, she's Minister of State for Kampala. A woman, MP Mubende, she had a rally. For them, none of them had a mask, including herself. Initially, people were saying, you know, surely these pictures must be of 2019. And then a video was released showing it's very current, you know. And several others followed suit. Ephraim Kamuntu, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, who signed the statutory instrument putting in place all this drama. I mean, he goes and he's having a rally in church. Same story with Mike Bukula and all these different people, yeah? And of course, unfairly so, when an opposition fellow will have about 5 people and all of that, they will come after them, raid them, arrest them, tear gas, beat them up, and all these different things, yeah? What we are saying, which they're now beginning to see logic in. You know, there are people who understand very quickly after a long explanation, yeah? And that's the challenge with some of our friends in government. We explain to them, they refuse to get it. But now finally they have understood after a lengthy explanation, and that's why you hear sentiments of, okay, let's try and adjust. And that's what we are saying. Open up, have SOPs in place, you know, but don't really keep the people under your boot. Look at border borders. You will say that border borders should not carry anybody. Help me understand the logic, Romeo. People can sit in a bus, 40 of them.
Yes.
They are traveling to Kisoro, to Arua. Windows are closed. They're in that bus for about 11 hours.
Yes.
There's no aeration, and it is okay. But a border cannot carry a passenger with aeration, and I mean, it's open roof.
Yes.
Help me understand the logic there. So, the same situation.
For them,
you will say arcades, no, let's keep them closed.
For them, their logic is, on the issue of border borders, that they can penetrate even in the deepest villages and send the corona there, and it wouldn't be able to be tracked.
But again, logically, how does that work? Because a bus is leaving Kampala, it's going to Kisoro. Are you saying Kisoro is not a
It will stop in the bus park, which can be, you know, they can do something,
and the people
and so forth.
But
the border
they
will
spend the rest of their lives in the bus park. When they travel from here and go to Arua, they spend their lives in the bus park.
So you believe border men should go back to work?
That's the idea.
Where it should
you know,
reopen
you can
slowly
say they can have
gradually.
masks and so on. Look at arcades. You say no arcades will spread the COVID-19 and so on. Look at Chikovo. What's happening in Chikovo? And then you, I mean, have SOPs in place. Say, okay, in this arcade, every shop can have a maximum of, say, 5 people. There should be a sanitizer at the entrance and all these different things. It's logic. It's simple logic, Romeo.
All right, let's also involve the NRM publicist, Rogers Mulindwa. I did not forget about you, my good man.
No, I know.
It's okay, you began with the incoming government, then you can end with the outgoing government.
Let's not go there.
We have had time. We've said a lot.
Yeah. Now, Rogers Mulindwa, we've seen the Electoral Commission and the Parliament backtrack. You know, before they were saying no rallies, now they're saying at least we would have a little bit like 100 people at a rally. It seems like they are conceding to pressure from the other side, and not only the pressure, given also the fact that even the same people who bathed the guidelines, they were breaking them, and they didn't have any option but to entirely let everyone else, you know, conduct rallies. Is that the case? Was it pressure?
I don't think it was pressure, but you know, from the party perspective.
But Masulita, you were conducting rallies.
No, I'm saying from the party perspective, not from the EC perspective, because I don't belong there. For us, what we are saying as NRM, we are law abiding. We shall, when they say let's go for the mini rallies, we shall do that.
Are you law abiding?
But when they say, no, I gave you a chance. When they say we shall have no rallies, then we shall go by that. For us, we are just ready. You know, an election, you know, these other modalities can be there. But what matters? The quality, what you promise to your people, what you are going to do, what you have done, the hope they have in you, and those are the details. And this is where we score higher than this. So for us, we are not bothered with that.
But the
actually, I would be more interested.
We are more interested in the backtracking, the back and forth. You have a revised roadmap on the 16th of June.
Yes.
Yesterday you have them saying now we shall conduct rallies.
If you are asking me about the roadmap of the party, why this, but that is easy matter. They can do whatever they want.
You're also subject to all those rules.
For us, we are ready. No.
As a party.
We cannot interfere with the EC work. They are doing their work independently. And we have for us, we have no issues. I can only say
as a politician, do you anticipate more changes in the roadmap?
As a party member, it's really very unfortunate when some of our, there would be good examples in this process. If a minister, then you go to a public without a mask, that's really not good. I don't think what happened and what went wrong. That one, as a party, we condemn it, and we don't want to see that again. But for, you know, for the opposition, they have been defiant from day one, and I don't think it's really good for us to pick.
Was defiant.
I don't want us to pick lessons from countries like Kenya, that we should do the Kenya way, where they have 8,000 cases. Uganda should also go that high, where they have lost 200, and Uganda has not lost any. So we can't pick lessons from them. We have our own strategy. We know our challenges. We know we don't have enough facilities. If we have this to that level, it would be disaster in Uganda. That's why some of these examples people are sharing with us, we say, yes, they are there, but the best option is Uganda to understand our own situation and manage it accordingly. And I think we are on the right track, and we are managing COVID-19 properly. We shall get there. Finally, we shall have this thing out of
Joel Ssenyonyi, you're entering this election blindfolded. By the way, did you know that? You're entering this election with a blindfold. Not only you as the People Power Movement, but even the opposition. The opposition had banked on the electoral reforms. The Parliamentary Elections Amendment Act, Electoral Commission Amendment Act, and so forth, Presidential Amendment Elections Act, which the president has not assented to. That means they're not in force. You're entering this election with a blindfold. Do you think with the current stature or status quo in our system, you have a chance to battle President Museveni and trounce him in 2021?
Just before that, my elder brother here, I would like that he disabuses himself from the notion of we can't pick examples from elsewhere. You know, previously, before Corona, a huge chunk of our budget would go to something called benchmarking, where these people in government would travel to this country, to China, to where, to benchmark, to pick lessons, to pick examples. Unfortunately, of course, you know, whatever they would learn, they would not implement here. So it was a wastage of our money. Rogers Mulindwa, it is possible to pick examples from elsewhere. Okay?
Yeah, which is
now,
okay.
our situation, I'm the one on the floor.
You should get this right.
The idea is
good examples. You
that's
benchmark from good examples.
And that's a good example, Rogers Mulindwa.
COVID-19, it's not a good example.
Let him first finish, then you pitch
in.
in.
You should understand.
And that's why it's actually a good thing to pick an example from there that, you know, problematic as the situation might be, they're saying life must get back to normalcy.
But they have 13,000 cases. How do you explain that, Joel?
And that's the logic that I'm explaining, that they are cognizant of the fact that even though our cases are high, life must get back to normalcy. Now, they're not saying go and do whatever you want. No, they're putting in place SOPs, which these people logically are failing to understand. Have SOPs in place. We are not saying let everybody loose and they do whatever they want. No, but your problem is no one should go out. And the problem with that is people are actually going out, this time without SOPs. Can't you see that logically there's a problem with that? Because you see,
I see where
Romeo,
you're going.
If you have a child, Romeo, and you say, you will not watch TV at all.
Yes.
TV is not good for you. Focus on the books. Now, when you don't put, you know, some guidelines in place, as opposed to that, you would say, you know what? You'll watch maybe 1 hour a day, then do house chores, then do homework and all these different things. But if you say a complete ban, these children are going to find innovative ways of actually watching TV for 6 hours.
Which
That's
could
the
be
challenge.
much more
So
dangerous.
people, of course, people are going out there and doing whatever they want to do. I mean, look at Chikubu, and they can't do anything about it because it's like a bubble which has burst, you know. So we certainly can pick examples and learn. There's nothing wrong with learning. And then we implement some of these different things. So he says, for us, we've remained closed because we don't have facilities. He said that. And I'm thinking, so where have you been to put in place these facilities? You know, previously, they focused not at all on healthcare. Why? Because these powerful people in government, whenever they're sick, they're on the next plane to Germany, to the UK, for attention, medical attention. So they'll not care about Naguru Hospital. Iran Hospital there.
But as it is COVID-19, they can't leave.
Come again?
They're also here.
That's why I'm hoping they're learning lessons. I hope they have, because it says we don't have facilities. Why? Because the people who should have put in place facilities had no motivation at all to put them in place, because they were getting first-class treatment elsewhere on our taxpayer money. If it was their personal money, it would be all right. Now, you ask the blindfold, which we'll get into.
Yes, the electoral reforms are not in play.
This is like a David versus Goliath fight. You know that Goliath has all this armor, he has all the artillery, all the arsenal that he requires, and he uses it in a manner so wanton. You know, David, on the other hand, says, all I have is a few stones and a sling. And we are very cognizant of that fact. But David trounced Goliath. And by the way, they're not even ashamed about that situation, that there's unfairness, that things are the way they are, and it is okay.
Looks like a scenario taking us back to 1981 to 1985. You had President Museveni being chased by Obote, who had most of the militia in his favor. So is that what you're talking about?
There's a bit of a difference.
History repeating itself.
Well, there's a slight difference because Museveni then had no support at all. He even lost an MP seat. This was a guy running for president. He lost to who? Sam Kutesa, who is his employee, you know. He did not have as much support. That's why he had to pick up guns, go to the bush, and they took power by shedding blood. That's a fact. I know some people don't like to talk about that, but it's a reality. They got guns, which, by the way, they stole, because their theft has not just begun now. They raided Kabamba barracks and stole guns from there. They were not using them to shoot at elephants, at cows. No, they were shooting at people. And for us, we're saying, no, we want the transition to be peaceful, for heaven's sake. We don't want that each time there is change of government, that there gets to be bloodshed. No, Rogers Mulindwa, those days have got to end, okay? So we are going into this election, cognizant of all the challenges they are in, but we are saying, you know what? As a people, we are more powerful, you know, when we choose to unite together and say no to some of these things and go against them with the entire unfair advantage. The Supreme Court, you know, he says they are law-abiding. You heard him say that for us we are law-abiding, and I was asking, if you are law-abiding, why are your very cadres breaking the law in a manner so wanton, and nobody has called them to order? But also, very importantly, the Supreme Court in the Amama Mbabazi petition in 2016,
yes. The recommendation. 10
recommendations, not suggestions. They've not been put in place, you know. The most they went was to change the name of the Electoral Commission from Electoral Commission to Independent Electoral Commission. Romeo, when you see a goat and you say, now I have baptized you a cow, for heaven's sake, it remains a goat, yeah? So independence of the Electoral Commission is not in the name. It is in practice.
All right.
So they have disregarded all these different things, and we are very cognizant of that fact. But we are saying that as a people, and that's why we say people power, that we can overwhelm these injustices, we can overwhelm these inequalities.
All right, Joel Ssenyonyi, let's also bring in Rogers Mulindwa, the NRM publicist. Well, we are entering this election. It's an unleveled ground. You must agree with me, Mr. Rogers Mulindwa. You have electoral reforms that have not been assented to by the president. They were passed by parliament. That is a plus. But the president has not assented to. What is he scared of when we keep on hearing from the NRM that the opposition is very weak?
Well, I would first of all make some few comments on what Joel was saying
about
the ministers.
Yes.
The minister have not
Kenya,
been called
Uganda,
to order.
yes.
But the parliament has done that. The right
Who has called them to order?
Right Honourable Speaker,
let him first finish.
Explain.
Now it's your time now.
But for us, it is police, tear gas, bullets.
It's Mulindwa's time.
Called them to explain, and I think they have appeared at Parliament.
Yes.
That's calling them to order.
So you see the unfairness. For them, ex-pamper, you call, you explain. For us, bullets, tear gas, and death.
Go ahead, Mulindwa.
Yes, sir, I will give you time to talk if you want to talk.
No, it's okay. The same way you are interjecting, I can interject too.
If
so
you would allow me to explain,
yeah, explain.
I would also explain that when you look at the way we've come from the lockdown and the government has tried to relax some of these lockdown things, and you know, we are somewhere better off. At least people are able to move. The borders may not be carrying passengers. We may not be moving full boarding taxis, but at least we are moving. And we are doing it gradually. And I think that's good for Ugandans. Everybody would appreciate that. Kenya, whether they are saying SOPs and campaigns, whether Americans, they are doing what? For me, I think we are the best example on the universe.
But you have 13.
So we shall live by our, we shall go by our example.
Okay,
now,
you're going to get to that.
Yes.
Mike Mukurai,
yes, no, those ones I told you, you know, even as NRM, we don't support that. That was wrong. Actually, I would even say that even what we are doing here is also wrong, to talk without masks.
There is social distancing.
No, she doesn't, because when you look here, the 2 meters, and here they are not there. This is also wrong. But let's say we can leave those other factors constant now. Because that shouldn't be an excuse for now.
Okay, you were still comparing Kenya and Uganda. Get this, 13,000 cases in Kenya. Yes. Life is moving on as usual. You have 39 active cases in Uganda. Get this, 39. 1,062 active, 1,023 recovered. That is 39 active cases. And we are still under lockdown.
Because of what we've done. Let me tell you, by the time Uganda, we had a lockdown, total lockdown, Kenya, people were still moving freely.
They were, yes, that's true.
Well, the movement was free. I could talk to people in Kisumu from Kakamega, they could drive to Nairobi and do what? So I don't think the numbers shooting up has come by surprise. And our numbers getting down is not also by surprise. We've worked for that. So for somebody to advise me, you should pick lessons from where the numbers are up and the death toll is also high, I don't think that's really a very good example.
So people should say die of hunger and so on, yeah? It's
not a very good example. And I think for these other issues, we need to watch the space. As a party, for us, we are saying we have a candidate, by the way. We shall have a candidate.
Who is unopposed right now? President
Yeah,
Museveni.
he picked the forms yesterday. He picked the forms, and
he said no one is going to run against me.
No, I don't think so, because the constitution is very clear. Our article, I think Article 41, it is very clear. It provides for how somebody becomes a presidential candidate.
But the candidate said he's going to be unopposed.
But that would be a wish of everybody.
Is that constitutionally right?
Let me tell you, Joel here is contesting. Is interested in a certain constituency. It is his wish that he can go through unopposed in his movement.
But here you threw open the position of the national chairperson and presidential candidate. But the same person came and said, you know what, I'm now the presidential candidate and I'm unopposed.
But the exercise continues even today.
But it's already ring-fenced.
No, it's not. It's not. That's not true.
Help us understand.
The exercise continues until we close the exercise today at 5 p.m. You can't say President Museveni is unopposed. You can't be sure. I have seen some people in the papers are saying they are coming to be nominated.
All right.
But the only beauty with this is that after nomination, of course, the names to be voted in the national conference are recommended by the National Executive Council. So the process in our party, but it's documented.
Okay,
give
us a timeline from July 22nd up to August 10th, the NRM roadmap.
Of course, we are going to do a number of activities. Yesterday, we looked at item number 1, where the Secretary General handed over the
11.9 million voters
to the Electoral Commission. And the Honorable Chijaji was there to receive them. Now we started the nomination, the expression of interest and picking of nomination papers for the presidential candidate, those are presidential aspirants, and then national chairperson of the party, the first national chairperson, the first national vice chairperson, the second national vice chairperson, and 6 regional chairpersons. That process will continue. And that's what is ending today, today by 5 p.m. Then we shall also have, the list is too long, I cannot read it all, but we shall have from 20th to 22nd, that's what we have done. But from 22nd to 23rd, there is a SIG flag bearers at village level. And of course, you know, their elections is going to be 24th. So that's more of a marathon exercise. 24th, they will be having that. But MPs and LC5 chairpersons, they are going to express interest and picking of nomination papers starting on 23rd to 31st. They have a full week to do that. And they'll, that is MPs and LC5 chairpersons. Then on 27th to 28th of July, that will be the nomination for presidential flag bearers. National chairman and the other category of the SEC members, as I told you. Then we shall have July 5th, the vetting of presidential flag bearers. That's the national chairman and that category. Then we shall have the national conference for NRM from 7th to 8th. Here we shall do it mindfully that we have COVID-19. We shall be guided, but we cannot have the usual national conference we've been having in Ambole. But the national chairperson and the presidential flag bearers must be elected in the national conference.
Right.
So the Electoral Commission is going to guide us on that. Most likely, we shall have some district mini conferences and the endorsement of the candidates, so the elections will take place from that level.
All right, thank you.
So briefly, I think that's where we are. And I think our members should be keen on this roadmap. Instead of wasting time on these other issues, focus on the roadmap and then we move on.
Of course, the Secretary General Kasula Lumumba said NRM members who actually flout COVID-19 guidelines will be arrested. Joel Ssenyonyi, enlighten us on the roadmap within the People Power. Your potential voter who is watching right now would like to know, what is the roadmap for the People Power movement?
So like we said at the very start, we have made it succinctly clear that we are not a political party, we are a movement which embraces every Ugandan that is desirous to see change, regardless of where you fall. And that's why within our ranks we have DP folks, we have FDC folks, we have JEMA, ANT, even some folks who belong to the NRM. They're saying we are card holding, Patrick Samba, who is an NRM card holding member, picked our forms.
It's his time now.
And a plethora of others. John Baptist Nambeshe picked forms. People Power forms, and several others. You know, they are saying, yes, we belong to the NRM, but we want change, you know. But it's actually not entirely true that everyone in the NRM is like Rogers Mulindwa. You know, everything is okay, mambo sawa sawa, let's kukumba. No. There's many folks there who are saying, yes, we are supporters of the NRM, but we want change, we want a better country. And by the way, that's what it is about for us. You know, it's not just about a political party. No, it's about Ugandans, regardless of where you fall. We all want a better country. During COVID, you know, when the lockdown had just begun and hunger had struck everywhere and government was taking forever to distribute food, I, you know, went and was distributing the little that I had in some parts of Nakawa. I met a lady who was clad in an NRM t-shirt with Museveni's picture, you know, and she had come to get food. And so when she saw me, she slowed down, she stood, I think she was like, this guy won't give me food. I called her, I told her, madam, hunger does not know the color you belong to, you know, so whether you're blue, red, or even yellow like yourself, you are hungry, and I'll give you the little that I have. And that's what as People Power we try to do. We want to get all Ugandans behind the idea that we can cause transformation. So we told people that are interested in the support of the People Power movement to come and pick forms and fill them so we can get to know them and then build this database. As of yesterday morning, I need to get the latest tally from my election management committee, but as of yesterday morning, 10,000 people had filled these forms. About 1,500 for MP.
10,000?
Oh yes.
Wow.
1,500 for MP positions, 1,200 for LC5 chairperson positions, 3,200 for LC3, and then 4,100 for special interest groups, you know, youth and so on. We extended the period. We were meant to close last Friday, but we extended by 2 weeks. Why? Because many folks from up-country places, Gulu and up north, Arua, of course the west to Kunjiri, Kisoro, they were having challenges traveling because of the lockdown situation, coming to our headquarters. We put in place an online form for those that can apply their own. But again, in many of these up-country places, internet is problematic and so on. And many of these people are out in the field. And anyway, we want them in the field. So they requested for an extension. So we've extended. We'll be updating you on how this goes. So what happens? We are building this database. Then we get to know. So Romeo, Rogers, Mulindwa, Joel, Ssenyonyi are interested in the same position of MP of whichever constituency. And they all are seeking the backing of the People Power movement. Since we are not a political party, we are not going to have primaries. So it's consensus building, and that's important.
Let's talk about propaganda. Propaganda. Yesterday I did have Captain Francis Babu, yes, and the NRM leader and elder. He actually mentioned something that opposition, you have no message for Ugandans, especially the voters, but you're only spreading propaganda. But let me know this, Joel. When you talk about the poor state of the country's economy, is that propaganda? When you talk about the rife poverty in the country, is that propaganda? When you talk about police brutality, is that propaganda? When you talk about the unfairness and the selective application of the law, is that propaganda, Mr. Joel Ssenyonyi?
Francis Babu should really be the last person to talk about message. I don't know if he has had a message all this while. People threw him out a long time ago. They rejected him as Kampala Central MP. They rejected him as, you know, Lord Mayor. He has stood 1,000,001 times, and people are saying you don't have a message for us. So he should be the last person to talk about message. And, you know, you talk about propaganda. These guys have spread propaganda about us for a very long time. You know, at the very start, they derided us. They denigrated us and said those are young people. They don't know what they are up to. And, you know, for us, by the way, even when we see that, for example, there's 5 people that are standing for a particular position and they're all seeking for the support of People Power, we actually see an advantage therein. Some people think it's a big challenge. But for starters, we see an advantage therein. People Power has come of age. People have begun to trust it, you know, because at the very start, these people are saying no, but yeah, and so on. But people are saying, no, these guys here, there's something about them. You know, they love the country. They want to see peaceful change. That's important, unlike these people who shot their way to power. But more importantly, that we want to see our country transform. And so for us, when we see people coming in droves to pick these forms, there's got to be something about us, you know, and it humbles us. It really does. So you see that their propaganda doesn't quite work.
Their main problem from the NRM, especially the elders within the NRM, they're saying that you're trying to denigrate all the successes of the president by actually attacking the name of the president. You're not focusing on the problems affecting Ugandans, but you're focusing on the president himself, saying Museveni ainogenda or Museveni must go, instead of saying, okay, this is what we are going to do to overhaul the education system. This is what we shall do to overhaul the health system and so forth. So they are saying you're not focusing on the factors that are causing poverty and so forth in Uganda, but you're focusing on President Museveni.
For starters, Romeo, I am not one of those, and you have never heard me And I'm sure you cannot produce a clip of Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu saying Museveni has done nothing for the last 35 years, you know, that he's been around. Surely that can't be true. You know, at least you'd have changed the door from that place to here. You know, he's done a couple of things. I was named after Museveni. My name is Joel. I was born the year that he took power. And, you know, he started off really well. And my parents thought, let's name our child after this hero, you know. Of course, my mother, God bless her, very brilliant, she said her, but now let's not give her the Yoweri name. In future it might cause him trouble. Let's give him the English version, which is Joel, you know.
Yes.
He began well, you know, there's incredible things that he did. But you see, along the way, he left the correct path, as some people have said. You know, the gains began now to retract and go away, and that's the challenge, you know, there is. So obviously there's things that he's done. But for those who will say that, yes, we keep talking about him, for heaven's sake, he's the fountain of honor, okay? He's the one who determines the budget. You know that constitutionally, Mr. Museveni is the finance minister. He only delegates that authority to the finance minister.
Right.
So he draws the budget. And we are saying, please, can you major on majors and minor on minors, you know? As opposed to looking for the Ssenyonyis, they keep looking for us. They want to give us billions of shillings. I said, but these guys, how do they think? You want to get Joel Ssenyonyi, give him billions of shillings. By the way, when I cross over, if I ever, and I can't, but if I cross over to the NRM, I'm crossing over alone. But they imagine because, you know, I am the spokesperson of the People Power Movement, so if they get me, give me billions of shillings, I cross over with people. No, I cross alone. And so I was telling one of them, you know, they keep reaching out. Some very highly placed people in government, because I used to host them on TV, so they have my number, you talk and all of that. And I told one of them, I said, but now you. So these billions of shillings that you want to give to Joel Ssenyonyi, why can't you construct, okay, a small hospital there? Or, you know, these children who are studying under that tree, UPE, build a school. People will actually love you for that and give you votes. But you wanting to sink those billions in Joel Ssenyonyi, I would be coming alone, not with anybody else, you know. So you see why, ultimately, of course, his name comes up, because he's in charge of our economy, he's in charge of our army, and he has said previously, it is my army, you know, the money is mine, and all of that. And so we keep saying, Mr. Museveni, our president, you know, please behave. Stop the indiscipline, the financial indiscipline.
Let's also get the view of Rogers Mulindwa, the NRM publicist. What do you make of all this?
First of all, it's disrespect for somebody to say when you lose an election, you run out of ideas. For him to say, Honorable Babu, because he lost
was
an
saying
election,
we don't have ideas.
That's
so
wrong. Kano Kizza Besigye has lost elections 4 times, but still has
and you know the circumstances under which
following him. So that was wrong.
So who is following Francis
to make
Babu?
an attack,
Make
an attack on an elder of
No,
that
because he
caliber.
made an attack on us.
A
So
young man like him, I
finish.
think...
Francis Babu
if
should have
leaders
respect for
if
people.
people-
Let Mulindwa
If the
first
Nakawa
finish.
people are looking at quality of leadership, somebody cannot respect
Oh, let Francis Babu come and run against me.
But also,
He's welcome.
you see, when people power, I have said this somewhere, that people power are agents that have a strategy to bring down multipartyism.
Explain.
When you see when you look at the operations, for instance, people are going there to pick forms and take them where in this electoral process. Where are they useful? Where do they apply these forms they are picking from people power? Whether it's a movement or it's a what. So what they are trying to do, and this is what our members realized, those like the regional coordinators of theirs, Tikasimile, Nibunyoro and the others, they looked at people power and said, we have to go back to NRM. Believe me, these people apologized even to the national chairperson and said, we want to be forgiven, we went wrong. I was asking the same question to Honorable Rutamaguza, and I told him, Rutamaguza, you say you are a Democratic Party member, but you affiliate to people power. Now you are going to pick forms there. Will you vote Kyagulanyi or you will vote Norbert Mao? And he said, I will vote Kyagulanyi. And I said, now, do you still believe you're a true member of DP? So for members, those who are watching us out there, they should appreciate, they should understand that people power under multipartyism, you know, because they had reasons to start it as a political party. Why are they not doing it? They just want to weaken political parties. And to our members,
change,
they are not going to belong there. And many people will come back and come back and come back, just like the Tikasimiles and the others did. Because we need, for us we have, you know, the propaganda we are talking about, when these people, their issue is we can defeat Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in an election. And I think this is where some people, especially with the FDC, where most of them belonged before, that was the ideology. The ideology for FDC was we shall throw out Museveni. People have waited for 20 years, and the money is still strong and is going stronger. Even people power, their propaganda is just there. We are going to throw out this man, but the man is not going.
So you think all this is
So
nothing?
I-
that
Why
should
is
go
he
to
scared of us?
70?
They don't have the ideology.
Yes.
Their parties don't have the ideological kind of orientation that this is where we are focusing.
Rogers Mulindwa, what's the
But they are
ideology of
saying
NRM?
we want Museveni.
Finish.
Oh wait, we want Museveni out of
What's
power.
the ideology of
And when
NRM?
we
Let him
go-
finish, Joe.
When we go into these elections, of course, people power.
What's the ideology of NRM, if there is one?
I'm so much interested in Honorable Chagulanyi contesting for presidency.
Why?
That's one way.
is he slide from
That's
Museveni?
one way of eliminating him out of politics because he can't defeat Museveni.
But as it is,
Perhaps if he goes
So
back
why
to
is
Chadondo
Museveni
East,
so scared of
maybe
him?
if he goes back to Chadondo East, and they are making the same blunder the opposition has been making for quite long. Just imagine if that opposition of 2001, when the Kanu Kizza Besigye came into presidential elections,
yes.
if they are strategically positioned themselves to take constituencies, I think the opposition in Uganda would be having many constituencies. in
Rogers
their control.
Mulindwa, what's the
Of
ideology of NRM?
So for us,
You keep using that
by
word. I hope you even know its meaning.
We are identified by our core principles. That's what we are known for. The patriotism, where we should love our country more than any other thing. Pan-Africanism, you have seen us even rendering services to outside countries, Somalia and the others. Socio-economic transformation, and then democracy. That's what we are known for as NRM. So once you understand this, then you know where the party is taking you and where the party is going. But for these people, let's go and eliminate Museveni. Let's throw out Museveni. You know, many people will run back. Even those that had issues.
Like what
because
we saw last week with the rebel MPs
yes,
coming back.
because even in NRM, we could be having some minor issues here and there. But once you walk out and try FDC, try DP, or try people power, then automatically you discover.
But we've been hearing that those people have been sent there as moles. That's why they come back to give feedback to the NRM.
The word mall, I think the mall, I've even heard some people saying Ssenyonyi belongs
Propaganda
to NRM. I have heard that. Some people saying so. So I don't know these malls. You know, people will paint these
That's
pictures.
wishful thinking,
No,
Rogers.
no, people have painted this. Actually,
Surely the whole of me.
they have even named the people he meets. And they say, you know, Ssenyonyi, and he has just confessed they have my numbers. Then
They call me, they're trying to woo me, but I tell them, no, I'm better than
They are
that.
in talks with him.
I am better than
and
that.
some people in people power have a feeling that Ssenyonyi could be more.
So propaganda.
So that's a
Rogers,
that's
propaganda.
People power, the way they are built up, opposition on the other side, FDC is crumbling. Even though Ssenyonyi said denying someone a nomination doesn't mean that FDC is in turmoil. But we all know the party is in turmoil as it is. But then people power, they seem more organized. They're pulling so many forces from the NRM, from FDC itself, from DP. They look like a more formidable force to take on President Museveni. But according to how you're watering down all the efforts from the movement, of people power movement, seems like they do not have a shot. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Yeah, I don't think they have. You know, there is that population of 3.5 million people. The wave will take them to FDC. If they think Besigye can rescue them, they can help them win the presidency. If they realize that Kizza Besigye can't do it, then they will go to General Mugisha Muntu. You heard what Honorable Mwiru said. He was clear and he said, I'm leaving FDC on ideological ground because I don't see them doing what I thought. Mugisha Muntu said, you know, they can't have the structures. Immediately go their side. And I have said it day in, day out, that in the opposition, the only person I would look at and say can be a threat to NRM in the future is Mugisha Muntu. He's the kind of a person who believes in strategy, that we should go and have the structures on the grassroots. That is an equivalent to what the NRM does. But the Ssenyonyis can have space in Kampala. They can talk and say all what they want. They can take media space, go to TVs and radios. It doesn't scare us.
Joe Ssenyonyi, let's talk
doesn't
about
scare
the
us.
chaos within the opposition. Not only just the FDC, not only just the Democratic Party. Let's talk about the chaos and the disorganization within the opposition, because as people power, you had banked on a coalition to galvanize support at least from FDC, DP, and all these other parties. But then we are seeing friction from these other parties, and they are so adamant to join the people power movement. And do you think all that disorganization, all that chaos is going to trump your efforts to trounce President Museveni in 2021?
Two quick things just before I respond
he
to
also
that.
and he also said the people power movement is a movement that is actually gearing towards destroying multi-party politics. You're also going to respond to that.
Yeah, for starters, my brother here talks about grassroots structures, you know,
Yes.
that people power doesn't have those. I don't have to come here on TV and read to you and say that in Kisoro, we have this person, these contacts and all these different things. We are not that naive.
When
you know,
were they
imagine
elected?
It's Joel
that we are naive. And that's a good thing, by the way. It's good when your opponent first denigrates you and derides you and thinks very small of you. It works in our favor, you know, and that's why every part of this country you go to, including Karamoja, you'll find our people there, you'll find our structures there. And that's what keeps us going strong, you know. But it's okay for them to think, these are small boys, they don't know what they're doing. They'll wake up and there'll be a done deal. He talks about disregard for, but just before that, you know, Rogers, let me give you a 1.5 minute lecture about this ideology of yours: patriotism, socio-economic development,
I think we should let him talk about the ideology.
democracy. Well, they are leading us. You know, we give them our taxpayer money. So I think we have every right to tell them you're going astray. So they say they're very patriotic. Rogers, Mulindwa, if you guys were patriotic, you would have built a lot more schools. You'd have built a lot more hospitals as opposed to spending billions of shillings. You guys keep reporting about that budget of these government officials keep flying, you know, out of the country for treatment. If you are patriotic and you really love this country, children will not be studying under trees. Yet your children study on our taxpayer money, these state house scholarships and so on, you know, to all these different universities abroad. If you are patriotic and you guys love this country,
Joel,
surely you would serve
Joel,
this country in every
I would like
sense.
to get into
democracy
the
and all these
Joel,
different things.
Joel, I'd
give
like
me a
to
break.
get
But let me
into
get
the
back
woulda,
to the
coulda,
issue
shoulda.
of, he talked about multipartism, that we are
Yes,
disregarding
people power,
that.
you want to destroy.
Let me respond.
political parties.
Don't answer for me, my brother. Look, the people power movement is working alongside political parties. And that's why for us, we are saying we are not an exclusive club. You know, we are not saying drop your political party card, then come and get ours. No, no, no. We are saying, are you a Ugandan? Are you interested in change? Are you interested in a better country, a transformed Uganda? Please come and join us. And that's why those of DP are joining us, FDC are joining us, ANT, JEMA, even those who belong to the NRM, who are saying, yes, we're NRM, but we want change. That's who we are. Now, you can't say we are then denigrating political parties, that we are disregarding them. No, we're actually working alongside them. You know, that's why we have a number of them who, you know, are within our ranks. We engage with them, we meet, we discuss together and all of that. We believe in political parties. We absolutely do, okay? And that's why we work alongside them. If we didn't believe in them, we would not even sit with them, engage with them, and work alongside them. But we strongly believe in political parties. You know, we just chose when we started out that, no, let's not be a political party. And yes, you know, people have been calling on us and saying, but why don't you form a political party and all of that? And we listen to advice, you know, but we keep moving, and that's very important. The chaos that you're talking about, you talked about the chaos in
Well, you have
FDC
some people who left DP to join People Power. Norbert Mao disowned them, said we do not know that group. You also have Ssenyonyi saying they are not so, you know, Basically will tell you, yes, we are ready to form a coalition with People Power. But if you talk to Ssenyonyi, you're going to hear something entirely different. It's like they're focused on the FDC party. So with all these divisions ahead of the 2021 election, do you think it reduces your chances as a coalition that we've been waiting for to trounce President Museveni?
For starters, I don't blame my brother Ssenyonyi Nganda. I don't blame Mao for saying no, I want to build my party.
What's causing this?
I think it's okay for them to do everything possible to build their political party, to build their enclave, and to make sure it keeps strong, to make sure it doesn't fall apart. You know, that's why really they were thrown off balance when ANT was formed, and then some of their members crossed over the other side. You know, I feel their pain. I think they want to build their enclaves without any doubt, okay? And we have no problem with that, because at this stage we are not telling people, drop your DP card and come and join us. We are not doing so. So yes, some will be disgruntled. You talked about Mao saying now those who have gone to People Power, we have disowned them and so on. These are Ugandans, these are adults with, you know, with a sound mind. They know what they are doing. They know what they are up to. And they know a bit about the law, I am sure. So they know that they're not joining a new political party at this stage. You know, they are saying, yes, I belong to this political party, but People Power is not a political party, it's a movement, and I can join them, I can work alongside them for the transformation of this country, okay? Never have we told them, drop your political party card. We have not. We don't even require of it, you know, at this stage. We're not saying, John Baptist Nameshe, Patrick Insamba, for you to pick our People Power forms like they picked. We didn't tell them, bring your NRM card and we ban it here. No. We're not telling them disregard it or that kind of thing. We're not telling DP people to do the same thing, FDC and so on. We are saying no, for us to welcome every Ugandan who is desirous for change, regardless of what you look like, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your tribe, your religious affiliation. Are you a Ugandan? Do you want change? Do you want a new transformed country? Come, let's work at it together. And we are saying, come, we're not saying come, let's do it for you. No, we are saying, come, let's work at it together. That's why you keep telling them to ebereremu. That Romeo, when you join us, don't say, let's leave these things to the Chagulanyis, the Ssenyonyis, and so on. No. That everybody must play their part.
Do you believe we've made that shift from the politics of regions to the politics of identity, and that's where we are right now?
I mean, when you look at within our ranks, we have across. Honorable Chagulanyi's deputy principal is from the north, from West Nile. We have coordinators from Acholi sub-region, from Lango sub-region, from Bukedi. We have coordinators from Western Uganda, from across, because it's important.
It's now politics of identity.
It's very important that every Ugandan, is brought on board. That's very important. You cannot say, for us, we are going to run a Uganda of people who are only from this region. That's very problematic, because there are brains from the north. There are good brains from the west. There are good brains from the east, just like there are from the center.
Don't you think politics of identity is now a big problem? People focusing on the identity of Robert Chagulanyi, the identity of President Museveni, the identity of Kiza Besigye, instead of the ideas that they bring on the ground. You have people, Besigye is saying he would take a back seat and not participate in this election, but you have people who are egging him on to run because of the identity of Besigye. You have people who are now saying, no, it should be Chagulanyi to come forth. You have also people who are saying, President Museveni, another term for yourself. So politics of identity. How do we get away from politics of identity and when we go to politics of change, mature politics of ideas?
What's wrong with identity? Because you see, Romeo, for me to follow you as a leader, I must buy into who you are. So there must be something unique about you, and that's your identity. That tomorrow, Romeo, when you decide to follow the path of your elders like myself and get married, that lady, before she says yes to you, she's got to see your identity. Who is Romeo?
Throwing shade.
And then she either buys in or she doesn't. So it's very important, for her to say, I'm saying yes to this Romeo, to his marriage proposal. Without a doubt, there's got to be something about your identity, that maybe you're intelligent, that you're smart.
The big problem here,
I think that's important.
The big problem here,
and then you build a vision for her and the family you're going to start together.
If Romeo Busiko was to get out of the picture, if I'm to die, would I die with my ideas, with my dreams? That is the problem with politics of identity. When a person dies, like Major General Biraro, his farmer's party died because it was based on politics of identity.
And I hear you on that. And this morning, you're not having our team leader, Honorable Chagulanyi Sentamu. You're having the very able, and I say that with all humility, you're having the very able spokesperson, Joel Ssenyonyi. And you have other leaders across the country, coordinators, because it's important that we build leadership. It's very important, Romeo. Otherwise, then we end up in a situation of, the Rosiers Mulindwa, who will say, no, for us, we don't see any other person who has potential. It's only Mr. Museveni.
Mr. Joel Ssenyonyi,
after 35 years, he should have mentored other leaders. Give them space, allow them opportunities.
Mr. Joel Ssenyonyi, let me also give a chance to Mr. Rogers Mulindwa, the NRM publicist, for some final remarks. And these final remarks should be hinged on political parties separation. Political party separation. In 2005, we saw the restoration of multi-party politics. But in the same year, Besigye came back from exile. In October, he was arrested the following month in November by the same EC chairman, Simon Byabakama, over rape. He was released and later rearrested over treason. He had to be nominated in jail after the restoration of multi-party politics. Why hasn't this NRM government fought so hard to give a level ground to other political parties to enjoy the constitutional rights?
One, to our viewers, I said people power, they don't have structures. And why we believe so much in democracy, so our structures are elected, not appointed. Okay? So those structures there, that's not a democratic process. Two, when somebody says
your Secretary General? Who elected you, Rogers Mulindwa?
Exhaust that.
Now, patriotism,
have a leadership council.
When somebody says, patriotism, Uganda's doesn't have a deal, we have not demonstrated this. No. We have demonstrated the capacity to save the lives of Ugandans, and we are a very living example in the whole world. So we have the capacity. Whether locusts come, whether it's rain in Kasese, whether we have COVID-19, we are there.
Why the suppression?
No. As NRM, we've not suppressed political parties. Actually, we have engaged ourselves in so many meetings under IPOD. And we have come to the common position as the parties, the 5 in Parliament. And we said we don't want to see this. Jointly, with our Secretary General saying this is bad, this is bad. Actually, some of the security agencies, I have already said this, work in favor. Perhaps Honorable Chadondo wouldn't have one in Chadondo East, but they did so because police arrested him on the eve of the elections and then released him. And he got the sympathy vote. So some of them are not
very funny. So
why
did you arrest Sitenda also?
And for us, we are saying, yes, the ground must be leveled. If I'm here, let me talk, let Ssenyonyi talk. If this is there, let them talk. And that's our interest. And by the way, of course, after 2021, there will be no more people power.
Yeah. Joel, Ssenyonyi, and Rogers Mulindwa, the NRM publicist, many thanks for having made the time to speak to NTV. I've enjoyed both your views, gentlemen, and I do wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Of course, on the People Power Movement ticket and the NRM government on the other side.
No, sorry, correction there. Outgoing government,
no.
Incoming government. Thank you very much.
You're still watching Morning at NTV. My name is Romeo Busiku. This is what we do every Monday to Friday. First-hand information only here on NTV. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more information.
Watching Morning